Hello, I decided to do a random video before I start recording a couple of the other relationship videos that I'll be putting out. Communication and misplaced loyalty is next. Now, it's interesting because the dream that I had the other day, it was about two women asking me if they could do my hair and stuff. And I've been fighting this whole thing because, frankly, I realized that whole beauty pageant dream was also me being shown that this is going to grow bigger than what I expected. Remember the shock when I jumped off the stage, like, oh shit, I didn't mean to get in here. But the dream that I had about the two women asking to do my hair, it's like trying to persuade me, like, okay, this is something that you kind of called to do. I realize what that's all about. It's people, please understand. It's a scary thing to me because I did work in a male-dominated field. Being in that field, being around men, working on military bases, being objectified because of how I do look. Remember, there was one guy that gave me the nickname Gold Digger. I remember I told you about the barber who had the little joke when he was like, "Oh, you got some ones," and I knew he was, trying to be funny about me being a stripper, but having so many of these experiences being around men, you really start to kind of look around and try to figure out where all this really has spawned from. And then you look at reality TV and you see it's right there in your face. That is what a man thinks a woman should be a lot of the times. This whole, like I said, the butt injections and the breast implants. And don't get me wrong, this is not about judging. This is about this whole thing blowing up and basically spreading like a cancer. What we're not seeing is women being turned into Barbie dolls, basically, and losing touch with themselves. And that's scary to me because I've had that constant experience of being placed in that box, working in that male-dominated field. But even bigger, we created our own monster because if you look at it, it's kind of interesting to see ISIS using social media to basically mind fuck people. And I say that because it's like I read this article where they basically put eye candy. Just like what we're putting on reality TV, that's what they're using to recruit some of these young girls into ISIS. They're actually putting pictures of some of the cuter soldiers on there, and the girls go, "Oh, I want me one of them." And then they get sucked into that shit before they know it, and then they in it and they can't get out. But if you think about it, some of that's kind of like reality TV because sometimes once you get sucked in to reality TV and that basically you get stuck in that box. And I believe what happens is people really start believing some of their own stories with this whole thing. But even scarier now that this ISIS thing is broken out, I'm really like, damn, this is what I was saying. With all these transits, that Neptune and Aquarius that we moved away from, now we're in Neptune and Pisces. Spirituality is now coming into play and having to trump some of this technology because the technology has skewed people's thoughts and it's just kind of blown up in our face a little bit. So anyway, I'm gonna sing a little excerpt from that song Daddy. Understand something about this song. This was also a lot to do with how I felt about men when they don't often realize their role as a father and how important it is. You hear it all day, but the whole song is about my father. But it's interesting because people are like, oh my God, was he abusive and all that? My dad was very strict. My dad was a lot like a lot of men. Not necessarily, he wasn't always faithful, but at the end of the day, the more I see some of these men, I'm like, don't throw, you can't throw too many stones because I've seen now at 37, I'm like, it's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes and a whole lot of marriages that people won't really say, but we know what's really going on. So anyway, here's an excerpt from Daddy. Daddy, don't you love me? Then tell me why you treating my mama so bad. Oh, she'd always seem sad, sad then turn to mad, and the tears would flow like rain, and I could feel her pain. I'll be back with some other videos. Take care.